Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Bridget. I'm the So Flow Flipper for Southern Florida, for those that don't know the acronym. And welcome. This video we're going to do a what sold, and last week I didn't get one done. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to highlight just eBay this week or for the last couple weeks. And I'm not going to do any of the clothing items except for shoes. It'd be way too many items. So we're just going to do some highlights, and this way it gives you an idea of what some of the hot items are or what some of the not hot items are. But join me as we look at what's sold on eBay, basically hard goods and shoes, and let's get started. All right, the first thing to sell was a Smalton Multicolor Cats rectangular enamel dish bowl. It was just a cute little kitty oversized bowl, and this took 10 months to sell. I got it at a Goodwill for $1, and it sold for a best offer of $11. Not too exciting, but it's something. The next item was a 2001 retired Limax small wooden wharf with ramp village collection. So Limax, of course, the real finds are if you can find Limax Halloween, but this was still a good one. It took 1 week to sell. I got it at Goodwill for $3.75, and I took a best offer of $44. Not too bad. The next item we're going over is some Google playing cards, collectible, new, sealed, and then I wrote pics of actual decks so that you could, I opened one deck to put photos in my ad so they could see what the cards looked like. I bought these at Goodwill for 75 cents a pack, and they had a whole bin of them in like a Tupperware thing, and I bought them all because I didn't want to compete with any other resellers selling them like me. So anyway, this customer, I took a best offer. He bought 2 packs for $28.80. So I've been selling those for a couple years, and I still have probably 15 or 20 packs left. I probably bought about 40. All right, the next item to sell was a vintage Porcelain American bald eagle and flag hinged trinket box with the flag trinket. So as you know, a lot of the trinket boxes that are decorative like this guy have, usually when they're new, they come with a little trinket inside. And most of the times when you buy them, they're missing, so it's a good find when you get one with a little trinket. But anyway, I bought this on an online auction of a whole collection of trinket boxes, and it averaged out for a cost of $2 a piece, and I took a best offer of $8 for this one. It's not a great sell, but whenever I buy a lot of trinket boxes online, which I like to do, I make sure that there's at least one really good one in there. I make sure that there's one in there that's selling for 30, 40, 50. Sometimes I get a Limoges trinket box, and those can sell for 60, 70, 80, or 100 plus. So even though I like to average out the cost to figure out like how much did I really spend per trinket box, I've already Google lensed them before I bought them and made sure there was one in there that was going to make me some good money. But anyway, moving on. The next item to sell on eBay was a vintage Icaros Pottery ship plate handmade Rhodes grease, 7-inch diameter. So this was just a tiny little plate with the ship on it. These are a good find, guys. They're tiny. It's something that they're always going to look over at the thrift shop. So it did take a year to sell, but I got it for $1.99 at a local thrift shop. And I took a best offer of $45 for a little 7-inch plate. And this is not the first one like this that I have sold. I've sold many, and they just get mixed in with like stacks of plates. And I'm one of those people, I love to go through them because there's always prizes. Okay. The next item to sell was a lot of 2 Capodimonte porcelain 3D framed flower studio Giglio Antonaccio, Italy. I'm probably mutilating that. But when we think of Capodimonte, we're usually thinking of like trinket boxes or figurines with all the ornate flowers on them that when we find them are always broken, right? But what these are, they're little framed pictures. I mean, they were tiny, like 6 inches. And they did have the porcelain flowers on them. So they were like a 3D effect kind of framed wall hanging. They were really, really quite beautiful. But I got them, they did take 1 year to sell. I got them at a local thrift shop, and I only paid $5 total for both of them. And I took a best offer of $50. And then I wrapped them very carefully, and I'm hoping that none of them chipped. But anyway, they're really pretty. The next item to sell, like I told you guys, I didn't include any of the clothes because there would have been way too many items to do this since I missed a week. But I wanted to include the shoes, and for a couple of reasons. One, if you are new, shoes are like the easiest thing to make money on right away. Because, you know, we all know what shoes you wear in what season, right? So if you want to sell quickly, buy shoes that people are wearing right now in this season. And you can find shoes at any thrift shop. You just have to hunt for ones that are in really good condition, because most of us don't want to have to clean them or do anything to them. And make sure they're a good brand. And most important, make sure you're getting them for a really good price. And if you do those things, and also if they're not a really weird size. So if they're too small, usually bigger is fine, but small sizes take longer to sell. They just do. But anyway, I did want to show these. So these were Echo Cosmo sandals. It's a really good selling, quick selling brand. Size 8.5 or European 39, blue, 2-band slide, comfort, fluid form. These took a month and a half to sell. I got them at Goodwill for $4.75, and they sold for the full price of $36. The next item to sell was a Dimensions Baby Hugs Baby Quilted Bibs Cross Stitch Kit, new in package. So if you've been watching me, you realize that this is just like one of those weird things that I like to pick up. These old embroidery cross stitch needlepoint kits, as long as they're complete with the instructions and the cloth, if that's supposed to be in there, and the yarn or thread. And it's just because I store them all in one bin, and they just go in a padded envelope. And some of them are really good money. So some of the Christmas ones, you can make a lot of money. But I get them so cheap. So this one took 3 weeks to sell. I bought it at a local thrift shop for 75 cents. And it sold for $10.39. It's just one of those things that I like to sell. Okay, but even more so is some mid-century glass. So the next item is some vintage mid-century modern Viking blue teal peacock blue nick glass handkerchief bowl. This took 2 months to sell, and I bought it at my local thrift shop for $2, and I took a best offer of $18. So, you know, it's for not only me, but obviously the people at the thrift shops. Sometimes it's very hard on something like glass. Glass doesn't get dirty with age unless it's someone didn't clean it. So it's hard to determine mid-century or antique glass versus new glass. So you have to just be really familiar with the glass, the shapes, the colors. I mean, they used very specific colors in the mid-century, and the different companies like Viking used certain blues and certain reds and certain greens. And once you start seeing this stuff and being familiar with it, you'll recognize it, because they make, this is called a little handkerchief bowl, and they make them today, but they're different. The little folds are different, the colors are different, the base is different, and the texture of the glass is not as, the newer glass is like slimier, slicker. Just trust me, once you start dealing with old glass, you will know. But there's lots of reference out there and books and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, this is my kind of thing to sell because I just love it. It's beautiful, and I'm not afraid to ship glass. Okay, the next thing to sell was a vintage Malay burlwood jewelry box with removable tan lined with lots of compartments. So this took 2 months to sell. I got it at a local thrift shop for $3, and I took a best offer of $20. So I've been kind of into some of these boxes and researching some of these older boxes, but of course burlwood is so beautiful. And this is where I'll jump in also and remind you guys that when I'm giving you these prices, that I always charge the customer shipping. There's sometimes a rare exception, but if there is, I would tell you. But they pay, the price I'm giving you, they're paying more than that because they're paying for the shipping. All right, so the next item to sell was a Jupiter Hammerheads New Era hat, size 7 5/8, made in the USA, black. So this took a month and a half to sell, and I bought it in an online hat auction where I got multiple hats. They were all sports related, and I paid an average of $1 each. And this one I took a best offer of $12. And by the way, this is obviously a local team for us. So be familiar with your local, I mean, obviously there's the national teams, but be familiar with your local teams, because that kind of, thing sells. The hats, the shirts, things like that. They sell pretty well. Not for a ton of money, but they sell well. Okay, the next item to sell is a Beach Life summer. I cut my sheet off. Oh, but anyway, it's a garden flag with beach chairs and an umbrella. And this is another one of those things that if it's cheap enough, I like to pick them up because they just fold up really small. You stick them in a poly bag and off they go. You don't make a ton of money, but this one took 5 months to sell. Obviously, it's beach season now. I bought it at a local thrift shop for $1, and I took a best offer of $10. And honestly, these go for maybe $10 to $15 if it's a really fancy one. But I just like selling them because they're so cheery and fun and simple, and they pack up to, like when I store them, they're like take no space. They fold up flat, and things that don't take up space are great. Okay, the next item to sell was a Christian LaCroix mini. I cut this one off too, but purse, blush pink with gold hardware. This one took 1 year to sell. I bought it at a local thrift shop for $3.50, and I took a best offer of $23. So it's just a cute little crossbody handbag. But it took a while to sell, so you just never know. The next item to sell was a vintage genuine Inco stone jewelry box with birds and blossoms. So I did a little research before I did doing this video, because I wanted to know the history of Inco and what is it, where it comes from. And it's basically like a man-made stone out of minerals. And a husband and wife team basically invented it in the 1960s to make some jewelry with. And then they started making like little boxes, and then finally jewelry boxes, and then there's some plates that are done with the same technique. They eventually sold their company in the 70s, but they're still in business. So it's a U.S. company, and they're based in California. And the couple was based in California when they invented it. And so basically, boxes, jewelry, and plates are the main items that you'll find done with this kind of technique. And it's super beautiful. I mean, this was, it's a 3D raised type of box, and you could see how beautiful the hummingbird, I think it's a hummingbird with the baby birds. And I think those are either, they look, I was going to say cherry blossoms, but they look too big, so they're probably apple blossoms. Really pretty. Anyway, the next item to sell was a vintage Fenton green opalescent Vaseline glass Basketweave lattice bowl, 6.5 inches. So you can see the fancy trim on the edges of that bowl is the Basketweave, or also can be referred to as lattice. And my first photo, you can see I lit it up with my little black light. So I just have a tiny one, so it doesn't light it up really great like you can get if you have a big black light. You can make this stuff glow, but I wanted people to see it was the Vaseline glass. But this took 4 months to sell. I bought it at a local thrift shop for $3. And I took a best offer of $27. So, you'll get to recognize that yellowish, greenish colored glass, and you're like, I bet that glows. And if you bring your light with you, you can check, because there are other colors of glass that glow. That's just kind of a obvious one. All right. The next item to sell was an antique bisque porcelain crawling piano baby figurine, 12 inches large. This took 1 week to sell. I bought it at a local thrift shop that was closing for the summer, and then they have these huge sales. And I got it for $7.50, and I took a best offer of $60. Now, this is kind of a big one. If you know what piano babies are, you see them in all different sizes. Sometimes they're sitting up, but most of the time they're laying down. And they usually are come in a pair. So you'd have a little boy and a little girl, and somebody would prop them both up on top of the piano, and they're just precious. Now, when I bought this, sadly, this is the little boy. I mean, I know he looks feminine, but this is, like Victorian stuff. But the little girl, all her fingers were broken. So I just couldn't buy her, because, her fingers are right there out front, and it didn't make sense. So I was happy about how quickly this little boy sold all by himself, without his little girl, who got left, his little sister got left behind. Oh, anyway, the next item to sell was a pair of Vionic Relax women's black cross strap comfort slippers, plush fleece, size 9. These took 7 months to sell. I bought them at a local thrift shop for $3, and I took a best offer of $18. So I normally don't buy slippers. I bought them a few times, but Vionic shoes sell really well. And these actually had like the hard bottom, so you could wear them outside. And, a lot of people are wearing like the fleece lined shoes, or even fleece shoes. So I thought, maybe some crazy Florida person would would wear them even as shoes, not just as slippers. But they didn't sell till this summer, so who knows what they're doing with them. Let's move on. The next item to sell was a Coach Special Edition Fall 2004 leather signature wristlet bronze buckle. So this took a year to sell, and it was given to me by somebody that gave me a bag of clothes to sell on eBay, and in that was some little purses and stuff. So I don't have any money into it, and I took a best offer of $12, which this little wristlet is back from 2004. So it was really small, and it would not fit most people's phone today. Because you think about it, 2004, the phones were a lot smaller. And back then, your cell phone would have fit in this little wristlet along with, some money and an ID, and it served the purpose. But nowadays, this was just too small, and I'm sure that's why it took a while to sell. I mean, I know it's older fashioned too, but literally, most people would not be able to fit their phone in it. So that's that. Okay, the next item to sell was a pair of Keep running sneakers, men's size 11, speed 3 shoes, camo, lace-up, athletic, 45. These took 2 months to sell. I paid $5.75 at a local thrift shop, and I took a best offer for $14. And you're like, what? Why would you do that? Why would you bother? Well, I made the mistake and didn't look these shoes up. I mean, they looked really good, and they looked like new, and I thought, oh, these are really cool, like hiking shoes. And come to find out, they're one of those no brand kind of shoes that you get from one of those overseas companies that makes things for next to nothing. So they were worth next to nothing. Lesson learned. So I'm like, I should have known better. Why would I buy a pair of shoes that I don't know the brand? Anyway, the next item to sell was this Microsoft original Xbox 360 60 gigabyte video game console with HDMI port bundle. I threw in some games with it. It had the controllers. If you had seen one of my earlier videos, you saw that I picked this up at an online auction. It's not my genre, not my thing, because I don't like to test any of this stuff. But I put a bid out there for like $35, and I won the auction. But it sold for $64, and it was a pain to ship. In my opinion, I'd rather pack up glass than all those parts. But you won't see a lot of those going out the door from my eBay store. It's just not my thing. Anyway, the next thing that sold was a vintage Brook Park splatter confetti mixing melamine bowl, 8-inch in diameter. This took a year to sell. I got it for $2 at a thrift shop, and I took a best offer of $12. I mean, these bowls are really cool, but they came in like stack, like mixing bowls, like, small to bigger, 3 or 4 sizes. And that was the first one I've ever found out in the wild. So I picked it up because I was excited just to find one. So, would I do it again? No. I'd only pick them up if I could get the 2 or the 3 or the 4, whatever they come in, because it was not a lot of money and it took a long time to sell. But these do sell. It's just, they do better in sets. And I think they're really cool. And they have that thick melamine, and the splatters in them are kind of cool. They kind of remind me though of the old linoleum square tiles, that have like specks of colors in them. But the linoleum tiles aren't nearly as cool as these bowls. These bowls are much cooler, but they're usually have specks of bright colors, but the bowls are usually like a neutral color, like a beige or gray or a tan or white. But it's all about learning. So you're learning. I'm learning. We're all learning. All right, the last item I'm going to go over is a Marquee by Waterford. We all know Waterford. Brookside crystal wine decanter with stopper. It was a nice big one at 12.5 inches tall. And I bought it, it took 1 month to sell. And I got it for $4.50. And I took a best offer of $49. So lucky for me that you get to know the cuts of Waterford, like what the cuts look like. And they pop out because right now there are decanters in every thrift shop. And not every decanter is a good buy. There's tons of brand new ones out there that they're selling for $10. So you're not going to get anything if you try to sell it. It needs to be like a very good quality, high-end crystal to get any kind of money from it. But it was sitting on the shelf and I recognized the cuts on it. And sure enough, I checked it and it was Waterford. So it was a good buy. So that gives you a high-level overview of some of my sales just on eBay this week. I'm not going to do totals or anything because it's kind of like not like 1 week and it's not all the platforms, so none of it would make very good sense. But I did want to share with you what was selling so that you get motivated, get some ideas, and get out there and be hunting for some of those things. Next week, hopefully, I'll go back to the regular so you can get an idea of what's selling on Mercari and Poshmark and Etsy. And the next, make sure that you subscribe so that you get notified when my videos drop, because I'm still not on a regular schedule. But the next video that is going to drop will be another one of my Alaskan videos. I have 2 more. And a Thrift With Me Alaskan video. Okay, so those of you that hadn't seen any of those, you can go back and take a look at them. And make sure you give me a thumbs up if you liked this video. And let me know, are you a new reseller? Are you an experienced reseller? Are you somebody that's not reselling and you just like to see what people like me do? Or are you the person that is thinking that maybe I would like to get into it and I'm trying to check out, you know, what are people doing? How do they do it? How do they get it done? So my channel is all about everything reselling. I'm also going to be going into an antique mall booth, and I'm going to bring you along for that too as I set it up and get ready to do that. So there's a lot of stuff coming out down the pipe. So make sure you subscribe, and thank you for joining me today. I had fun. I hope you had fun too, and we'll see you on the next one.